Have you ever just stopped and thought, where did the year go? It feels like just yesterday was January. Remember when you were a kid and summer felt like it lasted an entire lifetime? Now whole seasons just kind of blur together. It's a really weird, universal feeling. And I'm here to tell you, it is not just in your head.
And this feeling was captured perfectly by someone on Reddit who just said, I feel like life moves too fast to be enjoyed. And that hits home, right? It's this sense that you're just a passenger and time is just rushing by you.
So, what is really going on here? Why does a year start to feel like a month? Well, in this explainer, we're going to unpack the science behind it. We're going to look at how our brains literally build memories, the surprising role one little brain chemical plays, and even how our entire society is basically hitting the fast-forward button on us.
Okay, so let's get right into it. The first piece of the puzzle, and maybe the one that makes the most sense right off the bat, has less to do with an actual clock and everything to do with how our brain builds its own library of memories.
It all starts with this fascinating idea called the holiday paradox. And this concept is perfect because it shows how our perception of time is kind of split into two completely different things: the time we're living through and the time we remember.
Think about it. When you're on vacation, you're so busy, so immersed in new things, that time just flies by. You're not looking at a clock. But then, when you look back on it, your brain is packed with all these new, distinct memories. That time you went scuba diving, the weird fruit you tried, and that sheer density of new information makes that same period of time feel so much longer in your memory.
And here's the absolute key. Our brains are wired to prioritize what's new. When our life gets really routine, the same commute, the same desk, the same dinner, our brains just go on autopilot. They don't need to record a bunch of new stuff. And the result? Entire weeks, even months, can just collapse into one big blurry memory. That's how huge chunks of time just seem to vanish.
What's so cool is that scientists can actually model this. Our subjective time, basically our library of new experiences, grows incredibly fast when we're young. Everything is new, learning to ride a bike, your first day of school. But as we get older and life gets more routine, that curve, that rate of new memories, it really starts to flatten out.
And here's the flip side of that coin. As our brain slows down its collection of new memories, our perception of time actually speeds up to compensate. It's like the less new information our brain has to process, the faster it feels like the years are just flying by to fill in the gaps.
Okay, so memory is a huge part of it, but it's not the whole story. There's also something going on deep inside our brains, a specific chemical that's basically acting like our own internal stopwatch. For a while now, scientists have been zeroing in on a particular brain chemical, dopamine. Yeah, the same one we usually associate with feeling rewarded or motivated. It turns out it might also be totally critical for how we track the passage of time. There was this one incredible study where researchers trained mice to tell if the time between two sounds was longer or shorter than 1.5 seconds. Then, and this is the cool part, they used light to actually turn on the mice's dopamine cells. And what they found was just wild. When they boosted the dopamine, the mice consistently thought that long periods of time were actually short. So what does that mean? It means more dopamine actually slows down our internal clock, which makes time feel like it's passing faster. You know that old saying, time flies when you're having fun? Well, this could literally be the science behind it. The theory is that when you're doing something you really enjoy, your brain releases dopamine. That dopamine slows down your internal clock, making time feel like it's just zipping by, which, of course, encourages you to keep doing that awesome thing. Okay, so we've looked inward at our memories and our brain chemistry, but now we need to zoom out. Because it's not just us, the world around us is also fundamentally messing with our sense of time. It's like a powerful 1-2 punch. Our internal clock is speeding up, and so is the world outside.
There's this idea from a sociologist named Hartmut Rosa called social acceleration. And it's basically the theory that ever since the Industrial Revolution, technology and society have created this constant, buzzing pressure to do more, be more, and experience more, all in less time.
I mean, just think about it for a second. Before all of this, time was tied to nature. The seasons, the sun rising and setting, it was cyclical and slow. But now time is this abstract resource that has to be optimized, scheduled, controlled. We're constantly trying to cram more into every single minute. And this leads to a really interesting paradox that Rosa calls the frenetic standstill. It sounds like a contradiction, right? But it makes so much sense. We feel like we're constantly racing, answering emails, keeping up with social media, chasing the next thing, but the world itself is accelerating even faster than we are.
And that feeling of never being able to keep up can lead to some serious burnout and just feeling disconnected from it all. So, if our own memories, our brain chemistry, and our entire society are all hitting the fast-forward button, the big question is, can we do anything about it? Can we fight back? Can we actually hit the brakes? Well, the answer is yes, and it all comes down to consciously choosing where we put our attention.
Let's start with work. The main enemies here are routine and distraction. So, fight them. Work from a different spot. Automate the boring stuff that you do over and over. And please, stop multitasking. Seriously, the whole point of all this is to jolt your brain out of autopilot. Every time you do that, you're breaking the cycle that makes entire days just disappear from your memory.
And this totally applies to your personal life too. The name of the game is to consciously chase what's new. Go explore a new neighborhood. Take up a new hobby, even if you're bad at it. Just cook a different type of meal tonight. Anything that breaks your routine forces your brain to wake up and create new, distinct memories. And that is how you effectively stretch out time.
So it all boils down to this really simple trade-off. Routine is comfortable, sure, but it's the enemy of time. It makes your years vanish. Novelty, on the other hand, creating new experiences, that is the absolute key to making each year feel full and long again.
Ultimately, what's so empowering about all this science is that our perception of time isn't just happening to us. It's something we can actually influence. So I'll just leave you with this question. Since you now know that novelty and attention are the tools, how are you going to choose to shape your next year? What new experiences are you going to create to make time feel like it's finally on your side again?